Well, hello there. I'll come a bit forward. There we go. Into the bit of sunlight. Yes, this is my last day of freedom. I'll go back to work tomorrow morning, very early, and should be getting a hire car somewhere about 6 o'clock tonight. And no doubt I'll be taking Sarah for a quick drive out in a new car. Just just to get used to it, put my seat in the right position and all that kind of stuff. And also, I've got tomorrow. It will be a long drive down to Lowestoft. It's a good 6 hour drive, 5 hour drive I think it is, but with a couple of breaks in the middle for a toilet break or a coffee break, whatever. It will take about 6 hours. So I'm going to set off at roughly about 6 o'clock. And hope to get there for 12 o'clock. As per company instructions, handover is supposed to be at 12 o'clock. Not 1 o'clock, not 2 o'clock, not 3 o'clock. Yeah, I'm normally the last one off. Yeah, and I know I haven't got the furthest to go. Some people actually go up to Scotland. And some people go back to Poland. So it's I haven't got the rough end of the stick, as it were. Anyway, my last day of freedom. I've got 2 cans of Hobgoblin in the fridge, chilling down nicely. And while I've been sat in my garden, I noticed yesterday, you can't see, but just right there is my carnivorous plant collection. I've got some of these sundews, and I've noticed that I've got baby sundew plants all over the place now. They're actually they've actually planted into the Venus flytrap pot as well. So hopefully when I come back, I'll take some photographs of it, because I've packed all my camera gear away, as you may well be aware. I normally take my camera away with me. And that bee book that I bought, bee identification book, is well worth it. It's quite an insight into bees and the things that they go through. It's such a shame, really, that we don't see so many honeybees. But I do know we do get honeybees in this area, and I've seen the hives. In fact, I do believe that the farmers pay the apiarists to come and put their beehives next to the fields. That's it, so they can get the plants can pollinate. The bees can pollinate the plants, whether it be the peas and the beans and the corn that's already grown. I don't know, but anyway, digressing slightly. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yes, the number of butterflies in the garden is tripled now. Instead of just getting 1 or 2 of these red admirals, we've got absolutely dozens of them. And the camera's slipping down on the tripod. I have to get a piece of tape on that, I think. I think it's because I haven't extended it fully. There we go. Right. That's there's no adjustment on this particular one. It's just friction that pulls it up and down. I don't know whether I'm supposed to have such a heavy camera rig on this, but I've got the GoPro, I've got the microphone, and I've got the display mod, so I can see my ugly mug. Keep my eyes focused on the camera rather than darting all over the place. But still, my attention does wander when I'm doing my little rambles. But yeah, the bees are really, really, really active. I do like the bees. They are quite nice. Just hear them buzzing around. Anyway, so it's the weekend. Some of you will be having a few beers tonight, so don't go too mad. Anyway, what about that fire on that car carrier? Have you seen the news? There's a massive. It's probably still raging now, but yeah, electric cars. The batteries you can't put out. It's almost impossible to put them out, simply because they produce their own oxygen as they're burning, and it is a pretty dangerous situation to have a fire like that. I know we used to, in the olden days, when we used to have these big economizers. They still have economizers, but they've designed them more efficient now. This is where they take waste heat out of the exhaust gases from the engines. And in the old days, the technology wasn't so good, and you used to have to soot blow the soot from the tubes on the economizer. It's a coil of tubing that runs through the exhaust gas, and these pipes, these tubes, have got fins on, and the carbon builds up between the fins and then catches fire. Now, an economizer fire would be a little bit like the EV fires, almost impossible to put out. The only thing that you can do really is to let it burn out. Once it gets to a runaway position, what happens is the steel work inside these economizers or on the deck of a ship will get so hot the metal starts to burn. And then what you start happening is, as you put in water on to put the fire out, you get dissociation. Because it's so hot, the water disassociates itself between hydrogen and oxygen and then recombusts to increase the fire. And now that's a situation that has happened many, many times. And I was aware of that in Panama and also Suez. Suez was one of my old container ships caught fire. It was being sold to one of these foreign companies, and obviously they didn't have the same regime or routines that we had on board, and they had an economizer fire soon after they purchased it, which is rather unfortunate for them and for the crew. But yeah, this fire on this car carrier will be absolutely devastating. The smoke will be toxic, and it gets into the accommodation. You can't stop it because you've got all these accommodation trunkings. You do your best, you shut the vents off and whatever, but the vents always leak past. They always get a little bit of smoke through, so the whole accommodation will eventually fill with smoke. And if they can't put out the fires quick enough, they'll be in a world of pain. I know that. I know we only have normally it's the crew and the officers do the firefighting on board ship, because we have no fire crews on board. Same as we don't have any medical people. We just have the medical, the qualified ship's captain does a medical course, and the extent of that is to give injections, or in the worst case is to do a little bit of stitching if necessary. But otherwise, it's all done. The medical stuff is all done by radio, and you're instructed. You'll get a doctor or a surgeon at the other end of the phone line, and you're instructed what to do to save a person's life. And luckily, one of the reasons that I've gone coastal is I want to be able to be airlifted off pretty quick if anything happens nowadays. Now that things are changing as they are. But anyway, so hopefully they put that fire out. And I think there was only one casualty, or one fatality, and several casualties. And I hope they're not too badly hurt. But it will be smoke inhalation that will have done the damage. And I just hope they don't get a metal fire, hydrogen fire they call it. Anyway, just moving on to something more cheerful. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about really. It's I know I'm trying to exude calmness, but I've just been running around like a headless chicken trying to get everything packed into the suitcase one last minute, and we'll see if I got everything. But when I get there, I'll know if I got everything or not. Which is normally in case I've forgotten something. Maybe it's a pair of nail scissors or beard trimmer or whatever I might have left behind. But I'm going to go and check the suitcase in a minute, double check it, and then wait for the hire car. Shove it all in the hire car for my quick getaway in the morning. Hopefully the traffic won't be too bad. I know I've got to go across the Humber Bridge at stupid o'clock, and that's about £1.50 now, I think, to drive across there. But yeah, it's not the fastest route going down to Lowestoft via Humber. simply because it's all minor roads. It's not really any major roads that run down that way. You know, you head towards Kings Lynn and Norwich, and then down to Lowestoft, and there's a lot of farm traffic on the, you know, tractors and lorries and stuff, and they're not going the fastest. Well, this is all right. I know I've got 5 hours to get there, plus my brakes. Yeah. So anyway, so that's about it then. I've waffled on for far too long, and I'll see you all in a few days' time when I get on board. Goodbye.